Good seeing you, baby.
How you doing?
the September 19th, 2023 board meeting, Newton County to order. Ms. Page, would you read us the invitation to pledge allegiance, please?
Yes, sir. Father God, we come to you this evening and speaking of precious name of Jesus. We invite you to this meeting, Lord God, and we ask that you would touch our hearts and our minds so the decisions that will be made tonight will be decisions that are most important for our residents. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for taking care of families. We thank you for taking care of our community. And these and all blessings we ask in your mighty name, say amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Page, for that. Thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope you enjoy. Next on our agenda is roll call. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members, please?
Mr. Evelyn?
Here.
Mr. Tiller?
Here.
Ms. Page?
Here.
Mr. Steers?
Here.
And Mr. Lockwood?
Here.
Thank you. First on our agenda tonight is the consent agenda. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to take a look.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Lockwood.
I have a motion.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented and that it be part of the record.
Thank you, Mr. Lockwood. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Ms. Page?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
And Mr. Tiller?
Aye. We have a special presentation, public safety presentation. I'm not sure who's doing that. Or is it? Oh, all right.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. County Administrator, citizens of New Kent. Thank you for letting me appear here tonight personally and publicly to thank New Kent County, personally their first responders, their fire department and their sheriff's department on the help that we received on our radio project and the donation of the engine that you guys gave. It's been a great help. I can remember when I first came to Charles City, Chief OPEC was really nice to me. He was great to me. He put me in a position to be successful, and I just thank him for that. And from the county, I'd like to give out a little token of our appreciation, if that's okay with you guys. All right. If you mind, I'd like to call him up here. And Mr. Brackett, Chris Brackett.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
All right. Captain Travis Jenkins. Mr. Brian Bennett, Chief Brian Bennett. Chief Rick Opek. And I didn't see the sheriff in, but we do have something for the sheriff. If somebody like to come take that in his, okay.
Make sure he gets it.
Those gentlemen were very instrumental in especially our radio project. That they gave me great advice. They were very helpful, and I can't say thank you enough. But I think now our chairman of the board, or vice chairman of the board, Mr. William Coder, would like to say a few words.
Actually, I'm vice chairman, not chairman. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, friends, members of the board, I know all of you except for you, Mr. Lockwood. If I had to start thanking you all for everything you've done for Charles City County, I'd be here for about 3 or 4 days. since my time on the board in all 12 years, I realized year one that Charles City would be in a heap of trouble if it wasn't for New Kent County. You all have always been there for us. We couldn't have made it without you. And on behalf of the Board of Supervisors of Charles City County, I want to thank each and every one of you and your staff. Rodney, you've been a godsend. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts.
And I just have one small request. Don't try to take any of our personnel. Next on the agenda is the Residency Administrators Report.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hathaway, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Mark Harlow. I'll be giving the report tonight for Vdot. Hopefully you guys got the report, so you had a chance to go over it. I'll do a quick overview. The report consists of maintenance activities that have been completed this past month. We've been concentrating on pavement repairs, shoulder repairs, and cleaning, drainage, pipe replacements, ditch repairs, tree removal, pruning, brush cutting. We've completed our third cycle of primary mow and just completed our second cycle of secondary mow. Litter pickup has been an ongoing thing. Sign repair and maintenance. We received 84 work requests, completed 176. We have one emergency call out. That's about all I got. If you guys have anything for me, I'll be glad to answer anything that I can.
Thank you. Mr. Steers, you have anything?
Not really. I have a couple requests for having potholes still, but I'll contact Joe Terry in the next couple of days and we'll get that taken care of. But we appreciate all the work you guys are doing. Also want to thank you guys. Last Thursday or Friday, when the Secretariat horse on the trailer had been over at Colonial Downs during racing season, and on the way out, we brought that horse, the statue, out into that temporary roundabout. And Vdot was very supportive in removing the bollards. We brought the horse out there and turned it several different angles. And our long-term goal, hopefully it'll be a shorter term, is that when that roundabout is permanently built, that we'll have a statue of Secretariat right in the middle of it. So we appreciate your assistance on that.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Evelyn?
Yeah, I spoke with Mr. Wynn about after you cross the railroad tracks on Quaker Road, the pavement's kind of busting up. We get a chance on that. Could you send somebody out there and maybe get an update on that?
Yep.
And Hopewell Road, I know there's a chance of that being repaved a little bit, and I just kind of wonder where that status is. I know the General Assembly just passed the budget for this coming up year. I know that y'all have been out there and done some soldier repair and different things, ditch cleaning, so I appreciate that. But is there any,
I can check the surface treatment rescheduling and see where it's at. And
Okay.
We'll get back with you and let
Appreciate
you know.
it. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Mr. Lockwood?
We already talked about field dates, and I did have one more. Jack will probably remember.
Earlier, probably last year, we did a lot of work on ditch work on Carter Road in Lenexa, and there's a cross pipe that you guys blew out that had been clogged, but now the end of the pipe is collapsed and the shoulder of the road it's probably about 2 feet into the road where the pavement's totally gone. So if we can maybe get a patch out there for now and then figure out what needs to be done with that pipe, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Page?
I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you. You all went out to do the ditches on Watkins Road. So far it's working. I guess we'll tell this weekend.
Yeah.
But anyway, just wanted to thank you for doing that and taking care of the alarms.
All right.
And the only thing I have is, I know almost 2 weeks ago, they were in my neighborhood cutting back trees from the road, cleaning ditch lines and embankments and stuff. And I spoke with Mr. Lang with that, whatever that piece of equipment is that they cut back with. They did take out a water meter.
Oh, they did?
But it's been repaired, right, Mr. Lang?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It was actually at my house.
Oh,
So
it
I was
wasn't
thinking, okay,
intentional.
if I don't record this, are they gonna know how much water I've used? Or he said, no, then you get a bill for like 1 million gallons. And I was like, oh, let's go ahead and fix it. But that's all I had. But they did come through and they did a really nice job
Okay.
in the neighborhood. So thank you for doing that.
All right.
That's all I have.
Okey doke.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. We have a couple public hearings, but we can't get started on those quite yet. So, okay, I did skip that. My bad. All right, citizens' comment period. Do we have a sign-up sheet? Thank you, sir. When I call your name, I'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and limit yourself to 3 minutes unless it's something that if you're here to speak at a public hearing, I'll ask you to defer until then. If not, John Martin.
My name is John Martin. I live at 5930 Brookshire Drive. I'm a retired district fire chief in James City County. I have 43 years of service. I'm here to voice my concerns about public safety in New Kent County, the fire service in particular. I know the manpower status of each station in the county. I can tell you from experience, we do not have enough people on duty at any time. New Kent has 5 fire stations and no volunteer support. What concerns me is that none of the stations have adequate manpower to cover the equipment. The station near my home, Station 1, has 3 people on duty. That means if there's an EMS call, 2 of the people are gone, leaving the 3rd person there. That person is left there to fight fire, operate a pump on a truck. This is completely against NFPA 1710 standards. One person cannot do that job. Station 4 in Lenexa has a medic unit and an engine, 2 people on duty. If there's a fire call, there's no EMS service. If there's an EMS call, there's no fire service in that area. NFPA standards for a 2,000 square foot single family home is 16 firefighters. If there's a ladder truck, there's 17. Daily in New Kent, there's only 14 firefighters and 1 supervisor on duty to cover the entire county. I understand that New Kent is short 4 firefighter positions. One of the biggest problems is pay. Starting salary is much lower in New Kent compared to the surrounding areas. Other localities have also established career development opportunities with pay increases, such as firefighter 1, firefighter 2, senior firefighter, etc. That is not the case in New Kent. The bottom line is we need a minimum of 4 people at each fire station that has 1 engine and a medic unit. At stations that have engine, medic, ladder, tanker, there needs to be a minimum of 6 people. You can't depend on the surrounding areas much longer to take up the slack. Calls for services are increasing everywhere. More and more often, they are busy and unable to provide mutual aid assistance. We need a board of supervisors that supports public safety, including fire, EMS, sheriff's department, that is willing to pay the salary that is needed for that service. It takes months to train a person to become a firefighter, to receive basic EMT certifications. We need them now. This is a serious situation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I believe this whole board is very much aware, and I think everybody in that back room, back line back there is aware of all the codes that you mentioned. And we've been dealing with those for quite a few years, and we're working on salary and staff now. So thank you.
Ms. Tiller, I'd like to add one thing.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for your service to James City. But I just would like to give you a few facts. We are a growing community, as you well know. Back in 2008, we only had 7 paid firefighters. You can't respond. And the average response time was over 22 minutes. Now, 2023, let's move forward. We have over 50 paid firefighters. Do we need more? We're a growing community. We need more. We're going to build another fire station, Bonds Bridge. I agree with that. We're looking at putting 18 more firefighters on when that fire station is built. But the average response time right now is less than 8 minutes. My family uses paramedics. My district, this Newton County, uses this fire and EMS, and I support, and it's something I'm very proud of, that we have built this fire department in the last 15 years. So I understand what you're saying, but we're a growing county, and we're moving this county forward in the fire and public safety with sheriff and fire. Thank you for your comments.
Next on the agenda, Tina Harrell.
Hi, my name is Tina Harrell, 11580 Dornhurst Drive in Brickshire. And I am here also concerned for public safety, especially firefighter EMT, staffing, and wages. And I wanted to respond to the comment of 8 minutes. And I personally experienced 8 to 10 minutes last June from Station 1. I had a life-threatening issue. For the first time, my husband called 911 in our life, and they responded quickly. After I got out of the VCU, next day, brought food, expecting maybe like the movies, a full firehouse full of people, brought enough food, and there was 2 fire people on staff. And until recently, Station 1, I believe, many days had 2 firefighters because I bring food once a month and make sure that I have enough. Had that fire station been out on a call to the many traffic reports on interstate or a full house fire like of recent where there was no units available, I may not be here today if I was waiting on a surrounding area. And I do know, looking up, and I'm an accountant by trade, so I'm more on the business side, our fighters are paid $8,000 to $10,000 less than some of our surrounding counties. And we are also own our own business. So I know that this is imperative that you all provide the wages that are necessary to attract people in this economy where people are not coming to work, to be able to offer them the salary so they can support their families. And I do understand, as I've done some research, there was a grant that was offered that the Board of Supervisors rejected for a safer grant for firefighters, 18 firefighters, for 3 years, I believe. And I know that that was an issue. It was in the daily press. But on a personal level, I am very grateful for the paramedic that happened to be on duty. I do think it was a God thing they were there. But had they not been there, I would have had to wait on either Charles City, West Point, Enrico, Hanover, Williamsburg, and I may not have made it because it was something that needed to be dealt with within that 10 minutes. So I urge you all to do everything possible to get salaries comparable to our surrounding areas and staffing up to whatever the proper staffing levels would be to support the fastest growing county in Virginia. Thank you for your time and willing to allow us to speak.
Thank you. Bob Harrell.
My name is Rob Harrell. I live at the same address as this one here, 11580 Dornhurst Drive in Providence Forge. I don't have a lot to add to what they've said already. The response time is key, but when those 2 were at our house and somebody else needed help, there's nobody there. So I could stand here and say the same thing they just said over and over, but I think y'all understand where we're coming from. So thank you.
Next, Daniel Stewart.
Hello, y'all pretty much know me. I'm Daniel Stewart, 8139 Airport Road. I was going to talk about something else, but since they brought it up, I was a volunteer for this county up until recent, and the volunteers from Station 2 have met with most of you on the board about issues and everything, and you guys allowed the fire county chief to get rid of the volunteers. we don't have time to go into all the details here, but we had volunteers that were active running, and then things happened, no support from you guys, and the volunteers couldn't do nothing, couldn't run, and it's not just a recent thing, it's been over the years that things kept going on and happening and everything. So we did have volunteers in this county, and a lot of them left because of all the requirements that were getting added on or restrictions, and we had no backbone support from you guys as the board of supervisors. Now the new standards is kind of, I don't know where you're going to get those new standards that he is requiring, that you got to be completely certified before you can even apply to be a volunteer in this county. Because you apply, you got to go through a volunteer organization somewhere else. They're going to get certified there. They're going to stay there. But I'll leave it at that. Have a good day.
And I'll respond, because I believe the last time I met with the chief, the assistant chiefs, in this boardroom one night, and that very, and Mr. Evelyn was there, that very complaint came up. And personally, if somebody's going to respond to my house, I want them to be certified in every category, not somebody that just wants to be a volunteer that is not well-equipped mentally or physically. So, but thank you for your comments. Chief, would you like to say a word? If you don't, that's okay. I don't know if maybe we've said enough.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, we do have 2 public hearings, but we cannot have those quite yet. You said the closed session, it is.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I move to go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2-2-371129 for discussion of the reward of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds and discussion of the terms of the scope of such contract, where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position of the governing body, specifically an agreement regarding the expansion of public water facilities along New Kent Highway.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members, please?
Ms. Page?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
And Mr. Tiller?
Aye. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
see them candy.
Have a motion to come back into open session, please.
So moved.
I move to reconvene in an open meeting. I move that the board certify by roll call. I move to reconvene in open meeting.
All right. Ms. Watkins, but to poll the members?
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Ms. Page? And Mr. Tiller?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board certify by roll call vote that unless the committee acknowledge only public business matters lawfully given through an open session requirement criminal information act and identified in the motion to go into closed session discuss or consider in the closed session.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Ms. Page? Mr. Steers?
Aye.
And Mr. Tiller?
Aye. Next on the agenda, public hearing. Public hearing application ZM-03-23, Journey Christian Fellowship, ordinance O-1323, Principal Planner Kelly LeDuc, and applicants.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to ask Mr. Vaughn to pull up a visual just so we can see the property for everybody. Okay, so representatives from Journey Christian Fellowship have requested the rezoning from R1 to business of approximately 21 acres of land. The property is located at 3020 New Kent Highway and is the location of the Journey Christian Fellowship Church and Sports Park. The property has an existing approved site plan and is under development. The future land use map designates the subject property as Village. The property is bordered by Quinton Elementary School to the west, Quinton Community Center to the south, and several residences and businesses to the east. The application was reviewed by all county and state agencies, and there were no comments or concerns on the rezoning request. The agencies had already given their comments during the site plan review. The applicants have also submitted a proffer statement which addresses the future permitted uses of the property, and that's in your packet. The Planning Commission considered this application at their meeting on August 21st and voted 9-0 to forward a favorable recommendation to the board. Ordinance O-13-23 is before you for your consideration. And the applicants are also here and would like to address the board. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, guys. How are you doing? Members of the board, that's the proper way, isn't it? Mr. Chairman. Who is the chairman? I'm supposed to know that. Thank you, Thomas. I apologize, Mr. Tiller. Well, I just want to say good evening, and just want to say that our church has loved this piece of property since the day we first saw it, I think about 15 years ago. And we actually made an offer on it then, and the landowner at that time didn't accept the offer. We offered everything we had in the bank account, and he didn't accept it at the time. He turned it down, and He countered actually and said, well, we'll give you 5 acres of the property of the 21 for that same price. And we said, no, thank you. But in 2018, our dear friend Eric Whitlow, who's gone home to be with the Lord, he was driving past the property and he called Pastor Greg and he said, hey, that property's for sale. And we said, great, but we can't afford it. We already know what they want for it. And he said, well, let me call anyway. So he made the phone call, got the price, called us, and we said, make them an offer. Cash. So we made a cash offer that day, bought the property. That was in 2018. And after closing on the land, we received a written statement from the landowner, who was Tom Chapman. And he just thanked us for purchasing the land and wanted to express how happy he was that a church had bought the property. And just wanted to give you all a little bit of the history to know where we've come from and where God's taken us. And also, I have a real problem as a called minister of the gospel. When somebody gives me the mic, I feel like I have to speak. So here I am. Anyway, so I'm going to tell the story. And a month later, we were contacted by the school superintendent and the county administrator, Rodney Hathaway. And we sat down and had a meeting, and they expressed interest in the property next to us, but expressed that property wouldn't work for the school unless we were going to be agreeable neighbors and share an entrance off of both 249 and off of the Quaker Road behind us. So we agreed to that. And later the school asked for 10 more feet to be deeded to them as a right-of-way on the same road for utilities, and et cetera. And so we gave that to them, agreed on that. And then the school asked for a turning lane on 249, and we gave it to them. And then the school asked again for more land on Quaker for a lane, and we gave them that. And so here we are about 5 years later, about $7 million invested. Is it Miss LeDoux? Is that how you say your name? LeDuc. Miss LeDuc said that in her presentation the property was under development. Well, she's developed. We're there. We're open for ministry. And anyway, here we are 5 years later, invested and ready to serve the community. And the situation is we want to keep the signage that we have. And under the current zoning doesn't allow the signage that we have. And I just remind everyone all of this to say, hey, we're not a business. We're a church. We're a ministry. We're a lighthouse for the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what we exist for. We're in the business of giving, serving, helping this community and its schools, families, kids, and small businesses. Any way we can help, we want to be a help. And in our case right now, if zoning business helps us keep our signs and promote our message and draw families and children into our facility, that's our goal. And the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. said this about the church. He said that the church must be reminded that it is always to be the conscience of the state. It is not the guide and critic of to be the guide and the critic of the state, but never its tool. And Journey's never wavered on that. I think people who get to know us know what we're about, and we're always found standing. We believe on the right side, on the side that God would want us to stand on according to the Word. And so the result is our ministries change lives, not because we're special, but because the one we serve is special. And so I've literally prayed with young men on baseball fields to receive Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior, and seen young men and young women's lives change through sports and through other avenues. And so if a business zoning helps us continue to do that, we believe it's good for New Kent County. So thank y'all for letting me speak. And also, if my time's not up, our services on Sunday are at 9 a.m. right now. We'd love to have any of y'all, if you don't have a church family, church home, anybody in the audience is welcome to come join us. We love Jesus, and because of that, we love people. So thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Ms. LeDuc? If not, I will open public hearing, application ZM-03-23. Thank you. We have a few people signed up. And again, I'll remind you to come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and limit yourself to 3 minutes to speak. Jared.
Yeah, that's Pastor Jared.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Andrew. Andrew Blix.
How y'all doing? Anders Blix, and I live at 3120 New Kent Highway, one of those little blue dots that touches the subject property up there. Resident of the county for 33 years, and I just want to say I love the path that the Lord has set before the church to serve the county through sports and whatever other ministries that we can think of. I currently coach girls softball, girls field hockey, and jiu-jitsu in the county, so I'm very involved. I support zoning change to further support the mission of Journey Christian Fellowship and the significant investment that they've made in the county. I'd also like to read a letter that I have from Brian Nichols, the superintendent. He writes, "To whom it may concern, I'm writing this letter to express my appreciation for the collaboration between Journey and New Kent schools. Specifically, I want to share that Journey Church and Quinton Elementary Schools have been neighbors during construction for over 2 years. We have seamlessly managed contractors, deliveries, and trucks coming in and out. Quinton Elementary School has now been fully operational for the past year. We have worked in a partnership that benefits both entities during that time. Journey and Safari Coffee often supply coffee for the staff of Quinton Elementary School, including staff appreciation events. Both parties have also been flexible with the use of parking lots to support large events. It's not uncommon for a Quinton Elementary chorus concert or ceremony to exceed the number of parking spaces available on our property. The principal of Quinton Elementary School has repeatedly expressed her appreciation for flexibility to utilize additional space. The partnership and joint efforts exhibited by both entities have positively impacted our community, demonstrating an exceptional commitment to the betterment of our society. Sincerely, Brian Nichols, Superintendent, New Kent County Public Schools." And I would just like to share a verse in closing. It is from Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 and 15. It says, "You are a light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house." Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Eileen Blix.
Yeah, I'm going to pass her the mic because she's got
understand, that's
a
fine.
physical ability.
All right.
Where you just...
Sorry. Thank you. I'm Eileen Blix, 3120 New Kent Highway. Most of y'all, or some of y'all have heard this, so I'm sorry for the repeat, but for those of you who not, I feel it's still pertinent. Just when I was 5 years old, I moved to 3100 New Kent Highway, one of those little dots. It's the white 2-story house on the hill with a screened-in porch. We rented that house for 20 plus years from Elizabeth Yates, who lived right next door at 3120. Her brother Thomas was the one who sold the property to Journey in the first place. When I came here in 1990 as Eileen Wicker, that field was full of cows, and as the years went by, it became an empty pasture with bobwhite quail, except for the one day when the Lipscomb's cows came visiting in our field. And eventually that fence between our field and the Hockadays came down, and the field then became soybeans and corn every other year or so. And my sister got to play in the center of it on the hill that was made around the power pole with our friends that we found from across the field that we never would have got to met if that fence hadn't come down. And honestly, because the hill was there and it was really fun. And as I grew, that field became the training grounds that helped me set the New Kent and middle and high school mile records that still stand today. You can't tell to look at me, but I was fast once upon a time. I also hold the cross-country records and the 800-meter and the 4x400 record. I'm glad my 2-mile record was broken, though, because it was kind of disgraceful. That training offered me the opportunity for a scholarship to run for a Division I school, where I also earned all conference honors 3 separate times and came home with 8 out of 9 possible conference championships with my team. The year we didn't win, we were second. I also got to come home and marry my high school sweetheart. And we've owned a few houses in different parts of the county, and we've gotten to bring our 4 daughters home from the hospital here. We moved away for a few years, and then I got sick. And we tried, but we realized it was time to come home to our friends that are like family to help take care of us. And we came home to 3120 New Kent Highway, right next door to that white 2-story house on the hill with the screened-in porch. And the way I see it is if anyone truly has the right to be upset about what has happened to that field and what it's turned into, it would be me. I've grew up there. I've seen it my whole life. But I can't help but see the opportunity that's there, the opportunity for my girls to train in that same field, but this time they can do it in softball and maybe win a state championship like their baseball team just did, or field hockey since they were on the inaugural season that the Little League's ever had, or soccer or basketball, or maybe even volleyball and win a state championship like my sister did when she went through New Kent and receive a scholarship to college like she did as well. But more than just my own family, I see the opportunity to give back to a community that has just given so much to me and my family. And I see the opportunity to continue the tradition of a community that supports and builds one another up. One more sentence. I just think we should do what we can to give these children an even better opportunity than what I had. And it's a great way through Jesus Christ and his mission through the art complex to give them that. So thank you for your time. I'm sorry I went over again.
That's all right. Thank you. Next, Mark Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mark Daniel, and I live at 3936 Ranch Acres Drive in Quinton, Virginia, and I'm also the neighbor to the east of these people. And I guess there's no secret about how passionate I am about New Kent's resources, about our water, but even more important to us are our children. And so when I go down through there now and I hear the ball go, and I hear them announce and someone's going to run to second base, it just makes my heart feel great. I think this is a wonderful use for the property. They've been wonderful neighbors. Over my years in New Kent, I've sponsored many, many softball teams. I had 3 different walls. I would get plaques for the girls and the Woodhaven League, and my people would take the walls down and change them when I wasn't there because I loved them so much. And some of these kids now are grown up and they've got their own kids. I just can't tell you that I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It's a great use for the property, and I hope that you would quickly approve this because it's a great thing for New Kent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any further questions on this? For anybody? For Ms. Leduc? If not, at this time I will close this public hearing and entertain a motion if someone has, if there are no further questions.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Steers.
But I was going to make a motion, but before I make a motion, I would like to just make a comment that I think Journey Christian got their violation notice back in April this year for the rezoning. And one of their members of their church is a very good friend of mine, called me and he said, Ron, is there anything you could do to help us out? I said, I think I can. So I went and talked to our zoning administrator, which is a very great person in this county, explained the situation to him, and he said it's very simple. All they have to do is have it rezoned. So I went back and told my friend that, and he said, but I'm afraid that will mess up our 501c3. And I said, that has nothing to do with that, you know? And so I even went before the Planning Commission and pleaded with them to ask them to approve it. And I made a comment that if you're going to vote against it, I certainly wouldn't want to be sitting next to you. So anyway, I appreciate it, and just keep in mind the rezoning has nothing to do with any of the activities at the building. It only affects the signs. Okay? Thank you, sir. And if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I would like to move to approve ordinance 0-13-23.
Thank you, Mr. Steers. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Ms. Page? Aye. Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
And Mr. Tiller?
Aye.
One thing.
Sure.
Ms. Blix, you are still a champion. Thank you.
Next public hearing, application ZM-04-23, or Pax Partners LLC, ordinance O-14-23. Ms. Leduc, you're up again.
Thank you, sir. Just put this to the next slide. This is going to look familiar to y'all. It's the same property that came before you last month or maybe 2 months ago, but this time we're talking about the 27-acre piece on the east side, this piece here. So Mr. Jason Martin, who's here this evening, has requested the rezoning from C1 to A1 of approximately 25 acres of the tax parcel 18-4D. The whole thing is the green outline. It's all one parcel. So he's looking to get this area rezoned to A1. The intent per his proffer statement and the applicant is to eventually subdivide this piece off the parent parcel and gift it to an adjacent or sell it to an adjacent property owner to build a maximum of one residence. So the adjacent property owner, the Whites who are also here tonight, they live here. So they would like to buy this portion for their son. The future land use map designates this area of the county as suburban housing and adjoins the dispatch station subdivision. The application was reviewed by all of the reviewing agencies, and there were no comments or concerns. The Planning Commission considered this application at their meeting on August 21st and again voted 9-0 to forward a favorable recommendation to the board. And Ordinance O-14-23 is before you this evening for your consideration. Mr. Martin and Mr. Boyd, his representative, are here tonight if you have any questions or if they'd like to speak.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Randy Boyd from Charles City representing Mr. Martin and the Oral Pax Partners. I think that it's pretty clear. I don't want to belabor what Ms. LeDuc said. Mr. Martin is here. The Whites are here. We'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Does anybody have any questions for either party?
I do. I'm really just curious. How do they plan on accessing the I was trying to figure it out. I saw the plat for it. How are they going to access that parcel?
They would come, it's the large parcel to the northwest of the top that the Whites own, and they would come through the White property to get to that property.
So how do the Whites access their property, I guess would be a better question, because it seems like they're surrounded by other parcels.
The,
Well,
they have an easement that goes up there, and that's how they come into that property.
okay. Okay, that's all. I was just curious about how there was no connecting road. So, okay, thank you.
I could make one comment or answer to that. Just to make it a little simpler.
Well, just questions for them, I guess.
The back triangle there is where our house is. So our house is like, you could throw a rock across the property line to that piece of property. So it's like a third of a mile right away from the main road back to where we live all the way at the back. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
No other questions, I'll open public hearing application ZM-04-23 for Pax Partners LLC, ordinance O-14-23. Mark Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, a little bit of me goes a long way, so I'll be really brief. I've known about this property for years. I used to represent Mr. Chennis and the partners that developed this for probably 25 years, and it was always their intention. They thought that the front lot up there would have a home and be able to be utilized. So for one other home, for no more density than that, and for the use of it, it's a wonderful use of the land, and I hope that you would see to approve this and vote on it favorably. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, I will close the public hearing at this time.
Is there something, Ms. LeDuc, is there something in the application where it's only going to be one lot developed? The property, okay. No modular homes, yep.
Does this include a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Evelyn.
I move to approve ordinance O-14-23.
Thank you, Mr. Evelyn. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members, please?
Ms. Page? Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
And Mr. Tiller?
Aye. Next on our agenda is staff reports. Mr. Hathaway, do you have anything?
I have none, sir. Thank
Oh.
you.
Kelly, any staff report? Rebecca? Hate to call you out, but okay. I didn't want to leave you out here. I didn't want you to feel like we left you out. Other business, Mr. Hathaway? Ms. Leduc? I just had to throw it out. Appointments. Anybody have any appointments delegated by district? How about not delegated by district? Regional boards and commissions. We're good first. All right. Somebody has a motion. Oh, I thought we did that. Oh, I circled it. Elected officials reports. Mr. Steers?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything to report at this time. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Lockwood?
I just want to thank our sheriff's department and fire and rescue for putting on a really great 9/11 memorial. It's always nice for the community to be able to come together and remember what happened that day, and you guys do an excellent job of really honoring the loss that day. So thank you.
I just want to remind everybody that on Saturday from 10 until 3, New Kent Relay for Life will be at the Colonial Downs at the paddock. And so we encourage everyone to come out and participate. The time is shorter this year. The paddock is shorter this year, so we want you to come out and walk around and encourage those that are fighting the battle and be a sounding board for those that had loved ones that they lost. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Page. I have nothing to add to any of those comments, so I will now entertain a motion.
Motion for adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Evelyn. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Ms. Page? And Mr. Tiller?
Aye. Oh, one quick note. Next meeting will be held October 17th at 6 p.m. in 2023 at our regular meeting, and work session on September the 26th, 2023 at 9 a.m. here in the boardroom. Thank you.